Hello and welcome to Storytime Online. Today we're going to read A Tiger Called Thomas, written by Charlotte Zoltow and illustrated by Diana Kane Blumenthal. Once there was a boy named Thomas. He was very nice. But when he and his family moved to a new house on a new street, he took it into his head that the new people might not like him. So he never left his stoop. "Why don't you play with that little girl, Marie?" his mother asked him. "Maybe she wouldn't like me," Thomas said. "Of course she'd like you," his mother said. "Why wouldn't she?" But Thomas didn't answer. "Why don't you visit the lady with the black cat down the street?" his mother asked. "They might not like me," Thomas said. "Of course they'd like you. Why wouldn't they?" But Thomas didn't answer. "That tall boy named Gerald looks lonely," his mother said. "I don't think he'd like me," said Thomas. "Of course he'd like you," said Thomas's mother. "Why shouldn't he like you? Everybody likes you." Thomas wouldn't leave his stoop. He just sat there and watched. When Marie played hopscotch, he sat there and watched the old woman's cat as it prowled through the grass and shrubs. He sat there and watched when Gerald walked past the house and thought how tall he was. "Oh, Thomas," said his mother, "everyone will like you. Why don't you go play?" But Thomas shook his head and just sat on the steps, watching. The lady in the house across the street was always out in her yard, watering the plants, raking the leaves, sweeping the walk, picking her flowers. And all the while, Thomas sat on his stoop and watched. He watched the old man who came up the street with his big black poodle 3 times a day. The poodle always looked over its shoulder at Thomas, and its tail stood up like a small palm tree and wagged from side to side. But Thomas just sat on his step and watched them pass. He watched the sparrows and the grackles and the blue jays in the trees. He watched the black cat look up at the sparrows and the grackles and the blue jays, but he never went off the stoop to play. At Halloween, his mother came home with a tiger costume for him. "Try this on," she said. Thomas put on the orange and black striped suit with its quilted tail. He put on the mask with its long whiskers. "How do I look?" he asked his mother. "Exactly like a tiger," she said. Thomas looked in the mirror, and his mother was right. "No one will know who I am when I go trick-or-treating," he said. There was a large orange moon in the sky, and it was already getting dark when Thomas went out. The branches of the trees hardly showed except where they laced across the moon. He crossed the street to the house of the lady who was always outside. The chrysanthemums were still blooming in front of her house. "Trick or treat," Thomas called when she came to the door. "Well, hello," the lady said. She dropped a package of orange candies into his bag. "Happy Halloween." "Thank you," answered the tiger. "You're welcome, Thomas," the lady said, closing the door. Under his mask, Thomas flushed. "That's funny," he said to himself. She called the tiger Thomas. At the next house, he rang the bell. "Trick or treat," he called. Maria's mother opened the door. She had candy apples for the treat. "Oh, thank you," the tiger said, for he especially liked candied apples. "You're welcome," said Marie's mother. Marie is a witch tonight. Maybe you'll pass her, but anyway, come play hopscotch here tomorrow, Thomas. Thank you, Thomas said again, but when the door closed, he reached up to feel his mask. It was still on, covering his whole face. That's funny, he thought. She knew who I was, too. He passed a tall ghost going to the house as he left. He couldn't see the ghost's face, but there was something very familiar about this figure. Hi, Thomas, said the ghost. Want to play horseshoes tomorrow? I got a new set. Sure, said Thomas, for the ghost was Gerald. Thomas could tell by his height. He went to the old man's house. The black poodle threw back his head and barked wildly when he saw the tiger at the door. But when he sniffed at the tiger's feet and sniffed at the tiger's quilted tail, he suddenly put up his own palm tree tail and wagged hard. Trick or treat, the tiger said. The old man made big pumpkin cookies. Fresh baked, Thomas, he said, winking as he dropped one in the bag. Best thing for tigers, he added, and winked again as he watched the tiger go down the steps. He called the tiger Thomas, too, thought Thomas. Now he rang the bell at the house of the old lady and the black cat. Trick or treat, he called. Come in, the little old woman said. Her black cat looked curiously at the tiger, and the tiger reached out to stroke the cat's black, slippery fur. He loves that, the little old lady laughed. Come play with him again, Thomas, she said. He gets lonely. So do I, said Thomas. She knew, too, he thought to himself as he returned toward home. The orange moon was a little higher in the sky. The sky was a little blacker than before. He couldn't see any of the branches against it now. A group of ghosts and goblins was coming down the steps of the lady across the street, and Solidarity, but familiar looking with her broom under her arm, passed him. Oh, and a solitary but familiar-looking witch with her broom under her arm passed him. He looked at her curiously as she walked slowly toward the steps of his house. It was Marie. Hi, Thomas, called Marie. Thomas walked upstairs to his own room. He looked in the mirror at the tiger. The tiger in the mirror looked back at him, whiskers and all. Have a good time? Asked his mother. How did they know who I am? Thomas asked. Did they? Said his mother. Yes, Thomas said. The mask didn't fool them a bit. And they all asked me to come back. I guess they all like you, his mother said. Thomas looked at her. Suddenly, he felt wonderful. Oh, I like them too, he said. And when he took off the mask, he was smiling. Thanks for joining us.